They thought we wouldn't find the money trail. They thought we wouldn't connect the dots. But whistleblowers just blew the lid off a scandal that should terrify every American. Your tax dollars, the money taken from your paycheck, funded a pipeline that led straight to Charlie Kirk's assassination. We're not talking conspiracy theory here. We're talking receipts, documents, and names. A State Department partner gave awards to militant radicals while the FBI was supposedly watching. When bodies hit the floor, suddenly profiles disappear and officials clam up. Now, this goes beyond one killer with a gun. This is about a system that validated extremism with federal blessing. So stay with me. Now, let me ask you something. If you've built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want it all riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries are loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind the big players are buying. And you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked #1 in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, and easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com today. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's time to protect what you have built. The number on the screen, 877-646-5347. When you call, tell them Gary Franchi said hello. All right, lot to unpack in our first segment today. Here is the moment the Charlie Kirk gunman suspect Tyler Robinson is told by the state that they will be seeking the death penalty. Here it is.
Just recently within the
other business that we need to address today, counsel.
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently within the last few minutes a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file.
Other business that we need to
no emotion at all, no reaction. This person is a stone cold killer. Now, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, 60 minutes ago, posting this: Armed Queers SLC is now under FBI investigation as an extended network related to Charlie's killer. The founder of Armed Queers SLC is also an organizer for PSL, which is funded by Neville Singham and the Chinese Communist Party. Why did the Armed Queers SLC delete their Instagram after Charlie was murdered? Why is Neville Singham affiliated with radical extremist groups that may have ties to Charlie Kirk's assassin? Now, this is the individual, the founder of Armed Queers Salt Lake City. Pronouns in the bio. Here's the photograph. Ermiya Fanaeian. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but doesn't matter. We're going to get into that deep dive. I posted this thread late last night, 15 hours ago. Almost a 250,000 hits so far. The FBI widens its probe into Charlie Kirk's assassination. Sources confirm they're eyeing Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. Their leader, Ermiya Fanaeian, how do you say that? Fanaeian? Whatever. Ermiya isn't just radical. She was honored by a State Department-linked NGO for advancing UN goals. This is absolutely insane what dropped last night. I was tipped off by a friend, Jack Lombardi, to a thread posted by Data Republican. I decided to do my own dive, and this is what I found: that Armed Queers SLC was formed in 2020, branding themselves as Militant Marxist Leninist Collective. Their mission: armed protection of queer trans communities, abolishing police, prisons, and capitalism. They train, mobilize, and preach revolution openly in Salt Lake City. This is a screenshot of their Instagram before it was taken down. And this is just one of the actions that they have taken publicly out there in Salt Lake City. Now they're under the FBI microscope. New York Post revealed feds are probing whether groups tied to Tyler Robinson Kirk's accused killer had foreknowledge, among them Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. Their Instagram vanished after Kirk was killed. Classic digital cleanup. This is the post from the New York Post. Feds widening their investigation into the assassination. Law enforcement sources said investigators are examining leftist groups both in Utah and online to figure out if they helped him with the shooting or at least heard it was going to happen. The probe includes groups in online gaming community, Steam, as well as a pro-trans organization called Armed Queers SLC, which took down their Instagram after Kirk was killed, a source confirmed. And here is the page no longer exists. Now enter Ermiya Fanaeian, the face of the movement, once hailed as a March for Our Lives leader, he flipped the script, revived a group called Pink Pistols in Utah, urged LGBTQ arming, and then co-founded the Armed Queers. From reformist activist to militant organizer in record time. Here is an image from an article at a gun range. How a Utah gun control advocate changed her mind and launched a pro-gun group. Now, I need to point out that the individual in question here is a man who identifies as a woman. Here's the twist. In 2022, they were recognized by the Utah Global Diplomacy, a State Department-affiliated NGO, receiving the 7 for 17 award for advancing UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality, a militant organizer held up as model youth. Here is the post that was made by the organization celebrating the award that they had handed out. UGD bragged, our first 7 for 17 award winner. They praised her abortion organizing, trans activism, and research into gender oppression by state institutions. Yes, the State Department's local partner crowned her a global change agent. This is the post that was made on Instagram 159 weeks ago. UCCD is proud to announce our first 7 for 17 award winner. And they go on to explain the organization, the award. But this group, UGD, is not random. It's one of 86 nonprofits tied directly to the State Department, hosting international delegations, running U.S. exchange programs, and operates under the Bureau of Education and Culture. Their mission, advance America's diplomacy agenda. You can see right here, works with the Department of State. This is from their website. Their website has since been taken offline completely as this news spread about their organization. Follow the money. UGD's filings show it runs on government grants. In 2023 alone, it got $230,000 via a group called Global Ties US for the State Department's International Visitor Leadership Program. Add private foundation cash. This is not bake sales. It's a Washington-funded diplomacy group. Who funded them? You can see it right here. Global Ties US. And $230,000. There are the receipts. Now, more receipts. Armed Queers SLC raised cash through Venmo. Apparently, that's the username that was used to raise money, partnering with bookstores to fund Cuba trips. Yes, going to celebrate Communist Cuba. And its co-founder, validated by a State Department partner, the feds crowned a militant Marxist as model youth. That's exposure. This is how we found this individual at the bookstore, and then the post here, donate directly through Venmo. 5% of sales from our community shelf will be donated to Armed Queers to help send members to the yearly Cuba Solidarity Brigade. Cuba Solidarity, really? So how does a militant group's leader get picked as a model youth for U.S. diplomacy? Who signed off? Did no one vet her group before putting the State Department's halo over her head? Or was it deliberate, showcasing radicals aligned with the UN's sustainable goals? It gets murkier. Utah Global Diplomacy later scrubbed her profile from their website. Instagram post remains, but her page is gone. A quiet purge. Why erase the record if there's nothing to hide? Who tapped them? Or is this internal damage control as scrutiny explodes? Now, there is no evidence. One of my main points of my investigation yesterday, or late last night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, was to find out if this group was indirectly funded by USAID through the State Department. I could not find any evidence of that. That was like the first thing I needed to find out. Is there any connection to USAID? But no. USGD also shows no USAID cash, but UGD is State Department finance. The bottom line, the U.S. government, a U.S. government partner, honored a militant now under FBI scrutiny for ties to a political assassination. That is the story. Credit where credit's due. Independent researchers like SK33, Data Republican, and reporting from Just the News uncover these links, digging through archives and receipts. Follow them. They're exposing what corporate media will not touch. This is only the beginning a militant group, a State Department award, a UN agenda, now an FBI investigation. How deep does this rabbit hole go? We'll keep pulling threads. The corporate press won't repost to demand answers for Charlie. So that is just the tip of the iceberg. This, 60 minutes ago, Data Republican posting, this is why you never rush to post discoveries. Always, always archive. The entire Utah Global Diplomacy site is now gone. Completely scrubbed. First it was the page related to Ermiya, and now it's the entire website completely gone. Now here we've got a lot to unpack here. This person appears a lot of people had advanced knowledge of the plot to kill Charlie Kirk. Here's a post that they wrote on August 6th. September 10th will be a very interesting day. August 6th, they post that. Then 3 days ago, they wrote, I plead the 5th. At least 6 radical leftists knew Charlie would be assassinated. Kash Patel testifying at the oversight hearing today. We're going to get to that. Let's check in with Megyn Kelly first, reporting the FBI is looking into at least 7 other people who appear to have knowledge of the events of September 10th.
Robinsons. They are citing 3 people at the FBI familiar with the investigation, reporting that the Bureau is looking into posts by at least 7 different accounts. Several of the accounts appear to belong to transgender individuals, and at least one of them followed the suspect in this case, Tyler Robinson's roommate. Okay, so followed the roommate, the boyfriend, with whom Robinson was reportedly in a romantic relationship. Minutes after Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead, the user posted on X, "We fucking did it." This person has since deleted the account. Another user, 5 days before the shooting, wrote, quote, "You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it," along with an emoji giving a wink. I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it. 5 days before the assassination. Then on Wednesday, after the shooting, this same account writes, quote, "Well, that's that." And another chud bites the dust. Chud, apparently a slang derogatory term for right-wingers. This user has also deleted the account. The Free Beacon also reporting a TikTok account by an individual who appears to be transgender, writing, quote, "Charles James Kirk does not know what's coming tomorrow. This isn't a threat. It's a promise." So how did all these people know this? Did they just get lucky? They just they just had a feeling something was going to happen to Charlie and they all wrote it and they have links to the trans community? Wow, that's quite a coincidence. And there's new information regarding Tyler Robinson, the suspect, as well. As I mentioned above, he was in a romantic relationship with his roommate, who's a biological man pretending that he can become a female and in the process of that, quote, transition. This news was confirmed to Axios by 6 sources. And not just that, but as we reported in our own AM update this morning, Tyler Robinson himself appears to have a link to so-called furry culture and a website to this culture, which is linked to the trans community and which involves people dressing up like animals and getting some sort of sexual fetish out of it. By the way, that same so-called boyfriend who was trying to trans himself into female was constantly all over the internet in furry costumes. That's where the things stand this morning at 12:13 Eastern Time.
And that's not all. Here is the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
And what I hope folks realize from hearing the attorneys talk today and from hearing Director Patel talk and the Attorney General is that this is a process. And this is something that is so serious for us to make sure that we're leaving no stone unturned and that we're doing everything that we can to find out everything about what happened to this case. What I hope.
Here is the Utah County Attorney General listing the charges against Charlie Kirk's suspected assassin announces pursuing the death penalty.
Tyler James. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
So its official death penalty is now on the books. And we have this 5 hours ago. George Zinn, 71, who was arrested at the scene of Charlie Kirk's assassination and falsely claimed to be the shooter, has now been charged with felony obstruction of justice and 4 counts of, you can see that on the screen, after the FBI discovered images on his phone. Now, he did state here, the original person of interest, George Zinn, allegedly confessed that he pretended to have shot Charlie Kirk to help the real killer escape, being held without bond and charged with felony obstruction. So it's unclear if he had actual coordination with the shooter or if he was just a sympathizer at the moment. Those facts will come out. And here is Kash Patel at the oversight hearing today.
There are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated and interrogated specific to that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Others could have been involved. Here is more. Senator Ted Cruz encouraging the FBI director to not just go after those who aided and abetted Charlie Kirk, but to follow the money who's funding left-wing violence in America.
I want to encourage you in the course of this investigation, absolutely go after anyone who aided and abetted. But I want to more broadly encourage you, follow the money. The violence we are seeing is not purely organic. There is, I believe, significant money that is spreading dissension, that is spreading violence. Antifa. Do you believe Antifa is a terrorist organization?
I believe Antifa is associated with a lot of violence in this country. As to its designation, I'll leave that to the appropriate authorities.
So I would encourage the administration to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, to go systematically after Antifa. They've committed acts of violence all over the country.
Yes, they should be designated a terrorist organization. We have some more here for you. Democrats have now officially been debunked on everything they've said about Robinson being a right-winger. Share this so everyone knows the truth. Here is more from the district attorney, Jeff Gray, Utah County District Attorney.
As follows, and immediately after the shootings, no shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, no Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this? The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last three were not spent, were not fired. The second, hey fascist, catch, with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. The fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at homesick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and came of and immediately.
Yeah, so the leftist narrative that's been ongoing, they've been trying to say that he was MAGA conservative. I mean, this is all an effort to, protect themselves from the guilt of helping to radicalize this young man with the evil rhetoric they have spread for years. Here is the moment that Tyler Robinson's charges are read in court by the judge. Now, at the beginning, we showed you the death penalty, but here is the actual moment. All the counts.
Mr. Robinson, what I also want to do is you have the right to have the charges read that you stand charged of, and I wish to read those to you at this time. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-5-202, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony, in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-11-210 sub 2 and 3C, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm and that the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting.
I will spare you the full clip there. It's about 7 minutes long. But here is where Senator Eric Schmidt goes nuclear for 10 minutes straight. We'll just play a portion of this for you. This was from the oversight hearing today with Kash Patel.
Or that we can have a free exchange of ideas, and he was quite literally shot in the throat in an attempt to silence him and take his life. And so you have this task now of this investigation. There's been an arrest. But I think that we face an even larger crisis that law enforcement alone can't tackle alone. It's a crisis that has culminated in the assassination of Charlie. But it doesn't end there. It's I think every bit present right now. And the challenge is greater than quite frankly, I would have imagined. seeing some of the comments that have taken place after the assassination, and something that I think as a country we have to reckon with. And it's something deeper, much deeper than a rejection of law and order or the norms of civil society. We've entered a very dangerous time, I think, in our country. And that should be clear to everyone. Political violence is a sign of a deep and corrosive sickness in any society. But in America today, the problem is just not political violence in the abstract. It is the specific kind of political violence which is overwhelmingly driven by a specific set of actors and groups. None of this emerged out of thin air. Over the past week, leaders from across the political spectrum have come out and forcefully condemned Charlie's murder and political violence more broadly. For that, we're all very grateful. We should be grateful. There have been calls to unite and come together in the wake of Charlie's murder, and I want to do that. I do. Someday I pray that we can be united as a country again and go forward together as a one people and under one flag, but we are not united. Upstream from the dehumanization and demonizing political violence and rhetoric tearing apart our country is a divide on how we view America and Americans. Is America good? Is America evil? Is there something inherently special about Western civilization, or is this 2,000-year project rotten to the core? And if it is something worth fighting for, which I believe, how do we do it? With words and ideas like Charlie did, or with firebombs and assassins' bullets? Political violence is always wrong. Period. Full stop. It doesn't matter which side, in the name of any ideology or cause, it's wrong. But in America today, political violence is not a problem that falls equally upon both sides. We have to be honest about this. We must reject an attempt to paint it as some kind of random phenomenon with no particular creed or ideology, a kind of spontaneous insanity which takes place outside of any broader social context and has no pattern at all. That's wrong. So free speech, yes. Political violence, no. But we have to be honest about what's happening. Already, we're hearing people talk about Charlie's assassination in those terms. We're told that we can't possibly know what drove a killer to plan and carry out a murder of the most prominent conservative activist in America. But that's a lie. We do know. The facts are plain and clear, and we have to speak truth in this moment, or there's no other side of the mountain. The vast majority of Americans are against political violence, but there is a vocal, active minority that encourages and celebrates it, and that minority is overwhelmingly on the left. Just last week, a YouGov poll found that a full 25% of those people who describe themselves as very liberal say it can be justified for citizens to use violence to achieve political goals. Less than 3% of very conservative Americans say the same. That's too many. That is 3% too many. But we are lying if we think that this is a both sides thing. It's not. We have to confront it. And you're going to have an important job of rooting out these terrorists.
And that brings me back to my post in my thread that Representative Anna Paulina Luna posted, confirming Armed Queers SLC under FBI investigation as extended network related to Charlie's killer. That these are the groups that are radicalizing people to defend equality. I mean, look at that T-shirt. Defend equality. The pride flag behind an AR-15. Is that how you defend equality? By targeting Charlie Kirk? This person on your screen was awarded by a State Department affiliated group just a few years ago. This is only the beginning. As more facts become available, we will be here to deliver them directly to you. In the meantime, continue to pray for Charlie Kirk, his family, and all those affected by this senseless act of violence. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So why does this matter? It matters because we are watching the blueprint for political violence unfold in real time. When federal agencies crown militant radicals with diplomatic awards, when they scrub the evidence after blood spills, when they target the very conservatives fighting back, that's not incompetence, that's complicity. The same government that spied on 92 Republican groups through Arctic frost gave legitimacy to the networks that produced Charlie Kirk's killer. They validated hate. They funded the ecosystem, and when the bullets flew, they tried to make it all disappear. So here's my question. Do you believe any federal official will face real consequences for enabling this assassination? Yes or no? Drop in the comments right now. Because until these people see handcuffs, they will do it again. And if you're as fired up as I am, you can support our work here at the Next News Network. Check out our merch shop. It's linked down below. Wear your defiance and show them we will not forget Charlie Kirk.